Hi, my name is Lynn McTaggart. Welcome to my community. As a little gift, I wanted to share with you some intention secrets which will change everything you think you know about the power of your thoughts. When I started researching and writing about intention, a number of best-selling books had been published about the law of attraction and the power of intention, with the idea that you could manifest whatever you most desire just by thinking about it in a focused way. For many years, I also have been fascinated by the idea that thoughts are an actual something with the capacity to change physical matter. But at heart, I'm a hard-nosed reporter, the result of my early background as an investigative journalist, and I constantly look to build an edifice of solid evidence. And the journalist in me had a load of awkward questions. What exactly is intention? Is this a true power, and exactly how all-purpose is it? What can you do with it? Are we talking here about curing cancer or just shifting a quantum particle? And to my mind, the most important question of all, what happens when lots of people are thinking the same thought at the same time? Does this magnify the effect? So I decided to find out by starting on the ground floor, looking at the evidence. I studied the science about intention, what had worked best in mind-over-matter experiments in the laboratory. I worked with a number of intention masters, Qigong masters, master healers, Buddhist monks, to find out what common practices they did that I could put together in a simple program. I then organized my own giant intention experiments to test the power of more than one person thinking the same thought at the same time. Since 2007, I have gathered together a consortium of physicists, biologists, psychologists, statisticians, and neuroscientists, all highly experienced in consciousness research. Every so often, I invite my internet audience, or an actual audience when I'm delivering a talk or workshop somewhere, to send one designated, very specific thought to affect some target in a laboratory set up by one of the scientists I'm working with. He or she would then calculate the results to see if our thoughts had changed anything. We've tried to make seeds grow faster, change essential properties of water, lower violence in war-torn areas, and heal a person with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Our experiments have involved tens of thousands of my readers from countries around the world, and this represents the biggest global laboratory in the world. In the 30 experiments I've run to date, 26 have shown positive, mostly significant results. To put these results in perspective, almost no drug produced by the pharmaceutical industry can lay claim to that level of positive effect. After I began the global experiments with groups of thousands, I decided to try to scale down the entire process in my workshops by creating small groups, what I call Power of 8 groups, and having them send healing intention to a member of the group. I've been a stunned witness to the amazing power of small group intention. I've worked with many thousands of people, and even those with long-standing conditions have reported instant, near miraculous healings. And we've also run scientific tests on Power of 8 participants to find out why these small groups have such a powerful effect. So in looking at intention in many ways, most of what I've discovered turns everything we think about the power of thoughts on their head. It starts with what we actually think intention is. Most courses on intention describe it as a power thought. Learn how to do your power thought, send it out with your morning meditation, and you'll get what you want: a new car, a new job, a new life. The problem is, as the science shows it, it's just not true. The latest biology demonstrates that we're actually sending to others and receiving energy back at every moment. The late German physicist Fritz Albert Popp had a eureka moment. He realized Human beings and all living things are all candles. They're emitting a tiny current of photons, a tiny current of light all the time. And other living things are sending back a little current of light synchronicitously. It's like we're having a conversation in light all the time. This light is also the thing that connects all of our activities in our bodies. It's like a communication system. And many, many other scientists besides Fritz Popp have verified his amazing ideas. What this really means, what this comes down to, is that we're actually antenna transmitters and receivers. We're like a television set and a television station all at the same time. We're sending out and we're receiving back at every moment. We also know from evidence with many scientists, not only Popp, but other Russian physicists, American physicists, and biologists, that certain thoughts can change that transmitter. Certain thoughts change the transmission too. But the bottom line is that you're a leaky bucket. You are sending and receiving at every moment. So the big question is, what is it that you're broadcasting? We all think that if we sit there and we have our power thought in the morning with our meditation, that's the only thing the universe is going to hear. But what about the other 23 and a half hours of your day? In a sense, you're having an invisible conversation all the time. This invisible conversation, every secret judgment you have, all that criticism you think about, all that negativity, every last mendacious thought, all the flotsam and jetsam that's going through your head, all of these become your life's intention. So every moment of every day, your thoughts, all the endless chattering going on inside your head, is manifesting itself as your reality. So if your internal voice is a monologue that constantly criticizes your every move, you will fail. If you think you can't do math, you're not going to be able to do it. But it's not only yourself that this affects. Any negative thought about the people around you, your children, they're such slobs, they're no good in English, they also can manifest as a physical energy that makes that statement self-fulfilling. If you keep thinking your kids can't do well at school because you couldn't, they too will prove to be poor at it. Besides all that, few of us recognize how contagious our thoughts are and how deeply they cut into others. For instance, we now know that our negative thinking actually affects the major organs of those we associate with and their ability to fight disease. Evidence has shown that one single argument can delay wound healing of the person who's being argued with by an entire day. So my research with many intention masters convinced me that certain practices can harness intention and that this can make all the difference in your life. The following are the rudimentaries of the program that I developed, which is a unique blend of what's worked best for intention in the laboratory and all those ancient wisdom practices. And using these techniques will maximize your use of intention. If you'd like to know more about the complete program, please consult my book, The Intention Experiment, or my new book, The Power of 8, released September 26, 2017. Although the power of intention is such that any sort of focus may have some effect, the scientific evidence suggests that you will become a much more effective intender if you believe in the process, learn how to focus, learn to quiet your mind, connect with the object of your intention, visualize the outcome, and mentally rehearse it. And also let go, trusting the process. And the other part of this that I've discovered is if you get off of yourself and intend for someone else or something else, you'll experience a rebound effect. What you send out to the universe comes back to you magnified. The givers end up getting the most. So my first tip is choose your intention space. A number of scientific studies have suggested that your intention can work faster and better if you use the same intention space each time. Studies of healing have demonstrated this, where the healing works faster and better when it's carried out in the same laboratory over time. So from that I infer that the best thing to do is to choose a place to carry out your intentions that feels comfortable, where you can sit quietly and meditate. And even if you're not there when you're doing an intention, send yourself back mentally to your intention space when you're ready to carry out an intention. My second tip is all about focusing your mind. Powering up involves developing the ability to attend with peak intensity, moment by moment. This is not a calming activity like meditation. It's an energizing one where your mind is working at its hardest. It's using an extreme degree of focus. One of the surest ways to develop this is to practice maintaining your concentration in the present and focusing on your 5 senses while involved in any sort of everyday activity. You can practice turning off the constant inner chatter of your mind and concentrate on your sensory experiences while engaging in any sort of everyday activity, like eating your cornflakes, waiting in line, putting on your coat, or even walking to work. This is how to get into a state of focus. Sit in a comfortable position in a chair. Breathe slowly and rhythmically, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just slowly blow all the air out so that your in-breath is about the same length as your out-breath. Allow your belly to relax so that it slightly protrudes, then pull it back slowly as if you were trying to get it to touch your back. This will ensure that you're breathing through your diaphragm. Repeat this every 15 seconds, but ensure that you're not overexerting or straining. Carry on for 3 minutes and then keep observing it. Work up to 5 or 10 minutes. Begin to focus your attention on just the breath, then slowly take an inventory of your 5 senses. What does the present moment look like? Sound like? Taste like? Feel like? Smell like? Practice this repeatedly. Every so often, when you want to come into a state of focus, just come into your senses, just as you have now, and just focus on them without thinking about what you were going to do or what you did yesterday. Just focus on the present moment and what you're feeling with your senses. Tip number 3, make a connection. This is not a head activity. This is a heart activity. Touch or even focus on the heart or compassionate feelings for another person is a powerful means of causing brain synchrony between people. So if you're intending for someone else, you're on their same wavelength, literally. First, form an empathetic connection with the other person by spending a few moments exchanging some personal information about each of you, or even an object or photograph. Or you could hold his or her hands for a deeper connection, or spend a little time meditating together before you send him or her the intention. The next tip is most important of all. Tell the universe exactly what you want. It's really important to make your intentions highly specific and directed. The more detailed, the better. If you're trying to heal the 4th finger on your left hand, specify that finger and, if possible, the problem with it. We've discovered this in our intention experiments. The more specific we've been, the better, and the better it works. So for you, state your entire intention and include what it is you'd like to change. To whom, when, and where. Use a reporter's checklist to ensure you've covered every specific. So that's who, what, when, where, why, and how. You can also draw a picture of it or create a collage from photos or magazine pictures and place this somewhere that you can look at often. If you're in a group, don't be shy about announcing your intention openly to your group and allowing them to hold it for you while you hold intentions for them. And it's really important to make a vow out loud to your group that you'll do everything in your power to make this intention a reality. We found with our Intention Masterclass that when members make a public commitment to the universe through the group, in a way it forces them to keep working harder on their intentions and follow through. So if you're trying to improve your career, don't just say something like, I want money, or I want money to come in effortlessly. That's too general. If you want a particular job, write down a full and detailed job spec. If your income isn't steady, ask for a very specific job or situation that is likely to offer you a steady and specific amount of money. If you want to meet a special other person, describe him or her in detail. Draw a mental or physical picture. If something isn't working for you in your work or your life, work out what it is. Is it the people? Is it your role? Tease out the issue and focus on intending precisely that needs to change. My next tip, mentally rehearse. The best way to send an intention is to visualize the outcome with all of your 5 senses, as we said earlier. So you've been practicing that when you're holding focus with your 5 senses. You now direct those senses to creating mental pictures for anything, whether it's a new house, a new job, a new relationship, a healthier body, a healthier mind. Imagine yourself or the target of your intention engaging in whatever new aspect of life you wish to create. And remember, it doesn't have to just be a visualization. Some of us have much more of an acute sense of feel or smell than we do of our visual sense. Others are auditory and think in sounds. So your mental rehearsal depends on which senses are most developed in your brain. My next tip, believe in the process. Don't allow your rational mind to tell you the intentions won't work. Keep firmly fixed in your mind your desired outcome and don't allow yourself to think of failure. My next tip, time it right. The evidence shows that intentions work better on days when you feel happy and well in every way. Now, it's not always possible to wait. Sometimes you need the intentions to make you feel better if you're not feeling well, if you're ill in some way. But if you have the choice, wait until you're on top of your game. And then follow my next tip, which is to move aside. After framing your intention, state it clearly and then let it go. Don't keep worrying about the outcome. Don't keep thinking about it. This power doesn't originate with you. You're just the vehicle for it. And finally, my most important tip of all, get off of yourself. Most of my Intention Masterclass members and all the thousands of people I've worked with during the time I've been working on intention discover that when they begin sending intentions for other people, there's a rebound effect. Their lives begin to work better. The group intention experience itself seems to cause big changes in people, changing individual consciousness, removing a sense of separation and individuality, placing members of the group in what can only be described as a state of ecstatic unity. This dynamic appears to be so powerful and life-transforming that it enables individual miracles to take place. I've recorded hundreds, if not thousands, of these instantaneous miracles in people's lives. They've healed long-standing serious health conditions. They've mended estranged relationships. They've discovered a renewed life purpose or cast off workaday jobs in favor of a career that was more adventurous or fulfilling. A few of them have even transformed right in front of me. What I've concluded is that doing intention in a small group magnifies the effect. The group itself and the power of focusing on someone else through that power of altruism becomes an amazing vortex of healing. My Power of 8 groups have been tested in the laboratory, and we now have solid scientific evidence that intending in a small group is a fast track to the miraculous. They experience major brainwave changes that help them to heal their own lives. So my final tip, and the greatest tip of all, is that you find a group of 8, either online or in your community, and meet with them regularly. Have them become your intention family and work together, sending intention as a group, all the same intention, all sent at the same time, all taking turns being the recipient. That's when you'll find that miracles start to happen. You can find out more about group intention on my website pages and also in my latest book, The Power of 8, released on September 26, 2017. Before I say goodbye for now, although I'll be writing you regularly as a member of my community, I'd like to leave you with a challenge. Right now, choose a goal that has never happened, but you'd like to have happen. I mean something that never happens, that you feel is unlikely to ever come to pass. Choose an event you want to change where that change can be easily quantified. So if you're a woman and your partner, your husband or partner, never brings you flowers, send an intention to see what happens. Send an intention to get flowers. I've done this many hundreds of times, and I have so many women who say, my husband never sends me flowers, and after their intentions, suddenly they get a big bouquet of roses, or a giant plant arrives at their door. If you're a man and you love football and your partner never sits down and watches it, send an intention to see if they'll sit down and watch a game with you or go to a match. If your children tend to never make their bed, send an intention to see if they'll become more helpful, and if they'll make their bed, see what happens. Send an intention to have that office grump come to you and start a conversation. Send an intention to have that dog stop barking at night, or to achieve 10% higher profits at work, or to grow your backyard plants 10% faster than normal. Send that intention and see what happens, and just start practicing that muscle, because you'll find out whether one good thought is all it takes to change the world. Thanks so much.